All right, there we go. Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Sorry we're late. Totally my fault. It's crazy. Someone rescue me. I don't know how to do this homeschooling with 4 kids at once. I just barely don't know how to do it. So I was just out there yelling at kids and getting people set up on Zoom and directing and feeding. And I was like, oh, I have an 11 o'clock today. It's amazing. So anyway, super excited to be here with you guys. So welcome back to our series. We're doing our 1031 series with Kimberly Keaton, and she is going live through 1031 Exchange on behalf of her mom and uncle, and she has graciously offered to take us along on the journey and just kind of talk about what's going on. So, all right, so what's the update, and let's get started.
Okay, awesome. And I just think you're amazing, Stacy. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you juggle it. You are doing it, because here we are making it happen, girlfriend. I mean, shoot. I can't even imagine. I got 2 dogs to worry about, and that's like not even close to 4 kids, all under the age of 10. Like, you walk on water in my mind, and you're running businesses. Not businesses. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Are amazing. So
I love you.
Oh, shoot. Well, so here we are Thursday. And, honestly, coming into the call today, I was thinking, gosh, there's really not that much to talk about. And then I always like to make some notes because I want to make sure I've got the story to share with everybody. I'm like, oh, shoot, a lot happened in 2 days, basically. So here's our update. Here's what's going on. Yeah, Monday we signed documents, and I know, and everyone, and it was so. Thank you everybody on Facebook for your, congratulations, because it is a win just to get every single step of the way through this.
Right.
Oh man, every step's a win. So we got to celebrate those wins, as one of my past mentors taught me. Like, don't step on your sprouts. You can't stop on those sprouts because they might seem small, but they grow into little plants. So it's to sign docs a big deal. So we did that. And then this is, one of those teaching moments. You got to always be on the follow-up, always on the follow-up. So my next follow-up question, just because we signed docs doesn't mean we're done, right? Like, where's the wire? Do we have the cash in hand? And I didn't get confirmation about cash in hand until yesterday, which was Wednesday, right? So always be following up, And so we got confirmation yesterday that cash was in hand. And I'm always a little anxious that it gets to the right place, because I knew Title had my mom's personal bank account, but then they didn't need that account, right? Because we're doing the 1031. We need the 1031 bank account. So then I had this little panic moment inside, like, oh no, are they going to wire it to the right account?
Oh, yeah.
That was one of my fears. And I thought, oh shoot. Okay, well, now the 1031 agent is talking to Title, so I'm hoping they did their job, which usually when I have that kind of fear inside, I follow up on. I did not, so I was getting a little anxious. So yesterday, the 1031 escrow company confirmed they had the money. So I was like, yes, okay. Whew. Money went to the right place, because if it went to her account, that would be bad. That would be really bad. So money funded as of Wednesday, right? So here we are 2 days later, money's funded, still following up. I don't have my electronic documents yet, because the original title company, the New Mexico title company, is like, oh, it's end of month. It's kind of crazy. Is it okay if we get you those documents later? Absolutely not a problem, but it's on my list. It's on my calendar. So I just dragged that appointment from Tuesday over to next week to follow up. And that's how I keep track of it, right? Like, it's a ton of moving parts. Yeah. So I have like I have an appointment on my calendar for all these things that I'm following up on. And they might only be little 15-minute appointments, and they got notifications, because if I don't put a notification on there, it doesn't remind me. So that's how I kind of keep up with the stuff. And when I check it off and it gets done, it gets deleted off my calendar, which makes me, as a checklist person, I am a checklister, makes me feel really good when I go delete.
And I have on my checklist 11 a.m. with Kimberly.
You're so organized.
However.
And here we are. It might have been 11:03, but here we are. So that happened. That's right. But now we're in go mode, right? So really what's happening is shopping. We're starting to shop for the properties and kind of going through that process. And this is actually really fun. I was thinking about it, that what my mom's going through is probably what a lot of your students have gone through really recently. You know, it's that first time I'm kind of working on deals and looking at stuff, and I've already got a spreadsheet, which if it's okay, I'll share with the group today. I'll show you guys a little glimpse at my spreadsheet.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. So I've already done all that, which I have not shown mom, and she's probably on the live right now. I know I told her that, you know, I was doing this today, and she's been tagging along. She gets a kick out of it, which is awesome. So she hasn't seen this spreadsheet yet because I don't want to overwhelm her. I mean, I want her to have fun and engage in this process, but I'm also trying to get her up to speed as quickly as possible on like what's important and what's not important.
Yeah.
And because it's all important, but some stuff is, you know, she's learning. So like if you don't mind, I'm going to we can flip the screen around and I'll start to talk through some of the stuff like she's been learning on the shopping. So should we do that?
Totally. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So bear with us, everyone. This is the first time I'm doing this. Okay, I'm going to show you the first, I'll just share it all. That's probably easiest. Okay. This is it, real time. Okay, cool. Awesome. Can you see?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. Okay, cool. So everyone, this is kind of what we're doing, right? I get the email. So that we're looking at Albuquerque, no big surprise. There's no big secrets, and I don't care about showing deals and stuff like that, because honestly, like I'm a abundance believer. Everybody, there's plenty of properties to go around. And what's the right property for my mom is not the right property for me, is not the right property for you. So this is a world of abundance. There's plenty to share. So I'm going to share. Okay, so first thing, is mom had a connection from a realtor who got us a connection to another realtor here in Albuquerque. So Daniel is who we've been chatting with. Now, Daniel is a little bit more of a residential realtor, but he has an investor mindset, which is a big check mark for me. You know, that checks the box. I don't normally prefer to work with residential realtors because most of them understand residential real estate, and that's not what we're doing. We're doing multifamily, we're doing income property. And so there's a mind shift that needs to happen in order to really have more intelligent conversations in the world of cash flow. So Daniel, we did a pre-interview with him. I think I was kind of alluding to, he talked to us for 90 minutes over the weekend, which was great. And Daniel buys his own fourplexes out there in Albuquerque, which is really cool. So he's kind of already looking at this stuff. He likes fourplexes. Now, I like stuff that's a little bit bigger, but it's okay. We can talk about fourplexes. Ultimately, it's going to be about what mom likes. So he sends us his MLS link, and he actually, because he likes stuff already, he sent us his top 8 that he likes in Albuquerque that are on the MLS. Now, again, I'm going to caveat this by saying I don't typically buy stuff on the MLS. Usually I buy stuff that's off market. My clients and I and the investors and the students that I've worked with over the years, we typically buy stuff off market, pocket listings. But Daniel is right when he says, you know, sometimes what happens is a residential realtor gets a multifamily property and they don't know what they got. And they put it up on the MLS because they act like a residential realtor, and there's a screaming deal because they don't know what they got, which is true. It's totally true. So we're going to kind of work as many angles as we can. And so we've got these top 8, and then I'm teaching mom, like, how do you look at some of this stuff? Because there's the list view, right, which tells you a whole bunch of things. And there's the detail view, which is where I tend to focus. But here's what I told mom. I said, Mom, right now, let's just start getting you familiar with the market. And this is what I'm telling everybody out there. Let's just start getting familiar with the market. See what it is. See what it looks like. Look at the pictures. So she can start going through all these pictures. She can click through them. She can see what the finishes look like. And Stacy, I know you know, this is how we can invest remotely without ever going and look at the property, right? Like, that's where we're going to start at. We're going to start looking at stuff. So I'm kind of having her click through. There's no interior shots, so that's not very helpful, but the outside looks good. Neighborhood's not so bad. And then I said, okay, Mom, so here's the next step, because she's kind of concerned about crime, which is a fair question. Fair question. I will caveat the crime conversation though by saying do not necessarily look at the crime, not just that it has crime. So then what she's doing is she's taken the address, and there's two places I like to go look for crime. I personally prefer Trulia, but I know that it can be a little bit fussier to work with than realtor.com. So I gave mom realtor.com first. So the first thing she's going to do, and that she's been doing, is she takes the address of 520 Tennessee Street Northeast, comes over here to realtor.com. She types in 520 Tennessee. Let's see here. And it starts to give you your pop-ups, right? And don't judge me, I'm on my husband's computer, so it works a little different than I'm gonna type a little funny. And you don't need to be a great typer, you just need to find this. So I like it when it starts to pop up the addresses. And was this Northeast or Southeast? This was Northeast. Okay, cool. So 520 Tennessee Street. Shoot, it was there. Northeast. There it is. So I'm just going to click on it and let it take me to it. It's thinking. Okay, good. Here it is. Awesome. Looks great. Now, I'm going to make a little caveat. I see right here who it's presented by, so who the listing agent is, which you don't always get off your MLS list. It's really important to me, and I have found this over the years, don't do an end around on your agent. If somebody brings you the deal, work the deal with that agent. Like, your reputation in this industry is made over years and years and years and can be destroyed in an instant. So don't be that investor. Don't do the end around. Honor the deal by the person who brought it to you. Like, so important. Your integrity is so important. So anyway, little side note. And then you can come down here on Realtor, and I'm looking for, I think it's down here at the bottom. Right here, homes around. Where is it? If you see it, Stacy, shout out. It's not that one. There it is. There's the map. Okay, cool. So I'm looking for the map, and then here's this great little button called crime. So you can click on the crime, and there you go. The darker the orange on the Realtor, the more crime there is. So mom's kind of going around making her notes, looking at stuff, learning about it. Now, what I like about Trulia that's a little different, so I'll show you the same thing on Trulia. There it is. So what I like about Trulia, and we'll see if it does it here, it's in a little bit different spot. It's at the top. You actually can get the type of crime, which I prefer. So, and I like the color differentiation a little bit better on Trulia. And I, you'll go look around the country, and Stacey, I know you've seen this. Like, there's some places I'll go and I've looked at, and it's like, there's this one place I was looking at with a client, and it was in Richmond, Virginia, which is a really cute little town. And it was on this main drag, and we had driven the property, and it was a adorable property. There's all these restaurants around, and we come up and we pull up the crime, and it's like super dark blue, and it's like, what? I'm like scratching my head. Like, I totally would have, just if I was going off crime, I would have eliminated it. Well, we started diving into the crime and looking at what it was over, on the list, because there's theft, there's assault, there's arrest, there's vandalism, there's burglary. Well, it was all these like drunken disorderly, because it was the hipster part of town, right? Totally. It's all the drunk 20-somethings and 30-somethings wandering home at night, like kicking up a ruckus. It's probably what you see like in the gas lamp down in San Diego. Like, it's perfectly fine to go walk around. It's just, right. It's just, party town. So that's my caveat about crime. Be very, very, very careful what crime it is, and don't just go right off the crime map. Learn, pay attention to it. So Trulia, I like because of this. Realtor is, sometimes it's hard to find your property on Trulia. That's the caveat. Realtor's a little bit more straightforward. So, okay, so mom's been doing this. She's been kind of going through pre-filtering, because even though we've got those 8 from the Realtor, he sent us all the MLS stuff in Albuquerque. So there's actually another listing we have that's got 40 of them on here. So mom's been working through that. She texted me this morning, like 15 minutes ago, and she's like, can we talk and go through it? And I said, I gotta do this Facebook thing, so not afterwards. So she's excited, which is good. And she's learning. So the other thing she's learning is, like, she's looking at the pictures, and she tells me yesterday, as we're kind of going through the 8, she's like, but none of them are cute.
Donna.
I know. I know. But you know my mom, Stacy, and those of you following our journey will learn about my mom. She's cute as a button. She is a Texas girl through and through. So that woman is like done up all the time. She doesn't leave the house. Her hair is perfect. She's got all coordinating jewelry. She's just blingy. And so anyway, like that I don't wear makeup and love to shop at Goodwill just drives her crazy, but it's okay. I like a good deal. Anywho, so we're kind of working through this, and everybody, all of you on your journey are going to have to work through this too, like what your perception of a good deal is versus learning. And that's kind of what she's going through organically, is learning what's a good deal. So for her, it's learning what the market is and starting to learn what's normal and what's typical, and everybody lives in these places. So she's kind of starting to get a sense of that. So here, I'm going to give you guys a little peek behind the curtain. This is where mom's going to go, or I'm going to take mom today. So I'm a spreadsheet girl, and some of you just saw my screen and you freaked out. So take a breath, take a big breath. And you don't need to be an Excel pro, but I really, really am a big advocate of like letting tools do the analysis for you. And so if you're not comfortable with Excel, go watch some YouTube videos and just start doing some basic stuff and getting comfortable with it. So that little 5-minute, 10-minute YouTube videos on Excel, you can do this, I promise. So I keep property tracking sheets. You guys are seeing like my down and dirty, this is my sheet. And it's got all these different columns, so don't freak out. And you can see that a lot of these aren't populated because everything in here is coming from David right now, or Daniel. And so I don't need to fill in all this other stuff. But when I start shopping in a market and I'm talking to lots of commercial realtors, I'll start tracking who's sending me deals and who has the most deals in a market, because those are the people I really focus on getting to have a relationship with. So then where I'm kind of driving to with mom is I track what's the asking price. I'm tracking what's the gross monthly rent, which is coming off of the spreadsheet. It's in here, total rent. Okay, so you got to start learning what's in the sheets. And then I come back and I do a quick 1% roll, which is just a formula. So I take the monthly rent, I divide it by the asking price, and I'm like, where are we on the 1% roll? Which I know you know, right? Like, and you probably look at that all the time, Stacy. And I know you teach your students about the 1% roll. So, and I'm sure you've seen this in other parts of the country. So for those of you that are looking in some higher property tax states like Texas or Pennsylvania or anywhere kind of in the New England area, I actually use a 1.5% roll because property taxes are so killer high out there. So I bump it up to 1.5%. But Albuquerque, low property tax state, so 1% works great. So the higher we are in the 1% roll, the closer we are to cash flow as is. And for mom, we're focused on cash flow. We're not focused on like what I like to look for, which is value add. So I need it making a check for her every month. So that's kind of one of the ways I start to filter this out. So check this out. If we scroll through the list, there's a whole bunch of properties that are way below 1% on here, out of the gate. So guess what? I'm not even going to look at those. I'm not even interested in it. It's like so overpriced. It's like such a bad deal. I'm not even focused on it, but that's a quick way to start to filter out the list. And then you can learn how to sort your spreadsheets and actually sort them by your 1% rule, which is kind of how I like to start. I like to just what's highest on the 1% and start from there. For cash flow, that's like that's really important. Now, as a value add person, I wouldn't ignore these other deals, because if there's a really good opportunity to raise the rent, which I've seen, there's a killer deal that I found with a student in Florida once that totally wasn't on the 1% roll, but we could like double the rent because it was so under market that like it created $800,000 of equity. So anyway, if you're a value add person, don't ignore don't ignore these guys that aren't cash flowing. That's okay. So anyway, the other thing that I start to like to look at, because it's telling me how an area is doing, is what's my price per unit. So I let my spreadsheet kind of do it for me. I put in the number of units, it looks at the asking price, and it takes that asking price divided by the number of units and says, oh, here we go. Now check this out. This is fun, right? And Stacey, I know you've already scanned this. Did you see this one right here? This
I literally keep looking at like, what in the hell is with that one? 0.44.
No, you've already looked at all these numbers and like quickly and then check out, right, the 1% rule. 40, yeah.
That's so funny. I've literally been like stuck on stupid about that. Like, what's the deal with that one? It's like Beverly Hills of Albuquerque. Like, what's up with that?
Totally. Well, here's the thing too, and I know you'll appreciate this. I know this realtor that's got this one listed. And I would absolutely be talking to him. He controls probably 70-75% of the commercial apartment family market in Albuquerque. And he doesn't work with buyers. He only works with sellers because that's just who he is. And he's really a pleasant man to talk to, but I also know he overprices everything. Like, and if I was selling something, I would absolutely want to sell it with him because he way overprices it and he gets people to buy it. So you know what? Good for him. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, that is not what we are looking at. This deal right here, see how it's gray? That means I already didn't like it. But then check this out, right? Like you start to see right here, kind of what's normal. Like these are ranging anywhere from 38,000 a door upwards of, 50s and 60s. That's now we start to get to see what Albuquerque looks like. And if you scroll through the list, you start to see like, oh, that's not unreasonable. But I've got others that are higher. And again, they don't meet the 1% rule. And all these gray ones are Todd's. That's his name. You'd find him if you went and searched for him. Nice guy, really loves his town, does a great service for all of the people that he represents, but his stuff tends to be very expensive. And there you go. So mom has not seen this, and this actually is not even the sheet I'm going to show her. I'm going to show her, I took the top 8 that our realtor already filtered for us, which is awesome. I love it when the realtor gets it and does a little bit of pre-filtering. So then I started to break it down a little bit more because I'm going to take mom through this journey and I got to help tell the story. So I looked at on this, these are going to look familiar right here, right? Brought all those numbers over, asking price, the 1% rule, because everybody's buying for a different reason. So mom, we're trying to get as much money as we can for her with what she's got. So I started looking at what's my current net operating income on the property as is. And I'm pulling that straight off the MLS. Okay. So I'm making an assumption that they're telling me the truth, which and I know, Stacey, is probably not the case. That's okay. And that's our first assumption is current NOI if she was to pay 100% cash. Because that's one of the questions too. Like, are we going to leverage it? Or are we going to pay all cash? I don't know. So if it's 100% purchase, here's what she could look at on an annual basis of net operating income. Then what's her cash on cash? So what's the return on her money? Basically, how much interest is her money earning if she pays all cash? And as you explained, I think on our last call, right, this would be the cap rate if she was paying all cash. Okay, cool. So you can see right here, like some of these properties, she's getting a 3.5% interest, a 3% interest. And then there's this one, 6.5% interest. That starts to be a lot more interesting. And then you can also see how your 1% rule also kind of starts to follow that along. All right. Then there is upside on some of these properties. Most of these properties, there was like, even if we just did a $25 rent increase, that we could raise it, which is great. And that shouldn't really cost us anything in turnover. We should be able to do a little $25, $30, $40 bump in rent and not lose any tenants, which is great because that generates more cash flow. Now, as a value add deal, I'm looking at stuff where I could do a $100 increase, a $200 increase, and I'm probably going to lose that tenant, which is a totally different exit strategy. And I'm not looking at that for mom because that's going to cost money and she needs a check every month. So, but I'm still looking to see what's the upside because I can't help myself. I gotta like get as much out of it as I can. So on some of these, there's a lot of upside, and then that gives us a future cash on cash. Now you can see I'm taking, like on this one right here, this Bellama, I'm taking it from a 3.5% to almost a 7.8. And that's huge. That's probably not the best deal for mom because that's a really big increase, which means we're probably going to have tenant turnover. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe she'll like it. Maybe she'll decide she wants to do it. She's learning. Okay, so I looked at it that way. And then the other thing I looked at it was if we leveraged it. So I've got this scenario in here where if we put 30% down and now I've got a mortgage on it. Now, what you're probably thinking is that, where are you doing this in the spreadsheet? And you're right, I'm not doing this in the spreadsheet. I actually have an individual deal analysis calculator for every single one of these properties. So I ran them all through my calculator to spit out all the numbers. So being able to look at the numbers is really important, and have your spreadsheets and understand your spreadsheets, which anyway, so I've got that and I'm running it through, and then I plugged it into this so I can summarize it for mom. And then you can see, like, if I'm leveraging this deal, because now you have to figure out what's your risk tolerance with leverage. Now I'm taking it from a 7.8% return to a 9% return, which means she could actually buy more deals and get more money. So that's kind of the journey. So anyway, I won't bore you with all of that and taking you through slugging it out line by line, but you start to see, like, oh, if I leverage my deal, I could make more money. And that means she could buy more deals, which means she could have more cash flow. So that's where we're going to kind of go today in the conversation with mom. I've got 2 scenarios down here to walk her through, showing if she, what she could buy, what she couldn't buy, what it looks like for her on annual cash flow, and how much she's got to put down. And anyway, lots of stuff, lots of fun. Here's our next step. We're going to take her from pretty to take her to numbers. So I hope that was helpful for someone out there. That's where we are. Wish us luck. I know mom's excited. She was excited when I showed her the other day, just, going through the pictures, and I know she's excited to be learning. And I don't think she'll mind me telling this. She's 72. She's learning something totally new at 72 years old.
That's fun.
And that, for somebody out there who thinks that they're too old or they don't have enough runway left, like, you got time, my friends. There's just do it. Like, what else are you going to do? If you're alive and you're breathing and you're up every day, like, get out there and do it. Do something new. So, all right, that's what we got for today. And I can't hear you. You're muted, just so you know. There you go. Now I can hear you.
I'm like, I don't think I'm muted.
Oh, you're just laughing quietly. You are the master.
Smiling. All right, so cool. So when we, so the next time that Kimberly and I get on to update you guys, we're just gonna be in communication, kind of see how the journey goes along, so that each time we're meeting, we're kind of bringing you the next step. So as we kind of figure out what the timing is, the next step, we'll do an announcement. I'll set an event so that you guys can continue following along. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I hope you've learned a lot. Kimberly is an amazing teacher, as you can see, and investor, and just I'm so excited that you're doing this. So Kimberly, thank you so much, and let's stay in touch as far as what's going on with it, and then we'll set up the next one. I can't wait.
Sounds good.
Have a